Of all the manipulation tactics my ex used, future faking was the most successful at not only trapping me in the relationship, but keeping me stuck there for so long, because it played directly into my hopes and dreams while also feeding into my fears and insecurities. And if you're new to my page, my name is Jackie, and I'm giving real examples of emotional abuse tactics so that you can spot them in your relationships. When I met my ex, I was 2 years post-divorce, in the middle of a huge transition period in my life. He was only 3 months separated from a 10-year-long relationship. And while I knew that it was too early for him to be dating, we had such a strong connection that I decided to ignore that red flag and just see how it goes. The relationship started very intense. Within the first week, I revealed very vulnerable information about my past marriage and my future wants. I shared that I wanted to remarry, but that I wasn't going to move in with somebody again until I was at the very least engaged. I told him that I wanted a house. I had lost everything in my divorce, and I so desperately wanted to be able to provide a home for my daughter. And I told him I wanted another child. My ex-husband was MIA for the entirety of my pregnancy, and I felt robbed of having that experience with a loving partner. It didn't take long for my ex to start planting seeds of the wonderful future we were going to have together. He was madly in love with me. I was the most amazing person he ever met. I was accomplished and strong and resilient and inspiring, and he was so impressed with everything that I had been through. He said he knew immediately that we were meant to be together and that he was going to marry me. He picked the town that we were going to live in, one that accommodated my future goals, even if it meant moving further away from his children. He asked me to send pictures of the engagement ring that I wanted, because I deserved a proper proposal after he found out that me and my ex bought my engagement ring together. And he said he wanted us to have a baby. He wanted to give me that experience that I didn't have during my first pregnancy. And about a year into our relationship, my ex asked me to move in with him. He said it made the most financial sense because we spent every day together and it would put us in a better position to save for our future goals. Everything was so perfect up until this point that I dropped my boundary because I thought that the proposal was coming soon. It took about 6 months to realize he was in deeper financial trouble than he initially revealed. He couldn't keep up on the utilities and allowed them to run 6 months past due. I learned he had 10 years worth of back taxes to pay. All of a sudden, all of the money that I was saving for our future goals had to go to daily living expenses so that he could pay his lawyers. He dragged out his divorce for 3 years, taking weeks to respond to lawyers or refusing to respond at all, sometimes waiting until motions were filed in order for him to give opposing counsel the information they needed. I eventually reconciled that we just weren't going to have a baby together because he couldn't even afford to pay for his own kids. The majority of our fights were about feeling stuck in the current financial situation and not moving towards those goals that he coerced me into moving in together with him. Because all of this information didn't come out until we moved in together, I felt stuck. We not only integrated our lives, but we had integrated our children's lives. He reminded me of that every single time I tried to end the relationship. What about our goals? What about the kids? What about the future we planned? We've invested so much, we can't just throw it all away. And he would manipulate me into staying. I felt obligated to stick it out even though he wasn't the one following through on his promises. And a week before our final breakup, after many discussions of not having another child, he asked if we could. I learned 2 very valuable lessons the hard way. 1, never drop your boundaries. Someone who really wants a future with you will make it happen without asking you to sacrifice your boundaries. And 2, don't ever trust words alone. Always observe their actions. Words matching actions is integrity. Words not matching actions is manipulation.